Hi, I know I said I wasn't going to make any videos for a while, but obviously when things happen and there's things I can show you and things I can share with you, I feel a need to make a video. One such case is putting out the wish to the universe to send more cats. And there's been a black and white cat turning up at night. Looks very much like that cartoon cat on the Felix products. And there's also this little white male cat, mostly white with three black dots on each side and a few other sort of black markings on it. Now, the wish I put out to the universe, and I wasn't the only one that put out this wish to send another cat. Quite independently, no discussion between us, but on the same thought wave with Keith, who lives here. Sure enough, we've got this little cat, so you could say it's Charis 2. Charis, if you remember, you can see him on some of the videos from some time ago. He sort of vanished, I think it was about August. I just hope he's all right. But the beauty of the timing of this, the weather's turned colder, and this little cat, probably no more than 6 months old, has now appeared. So some point, but probably by the time you've seen this video, there will be a couple of minutes short showing this new cat, Charis. Come at the right time as it's turned colder, and it's gradually getting braver, so there's an added dynamic of that building up that relationship and that trust with this little animal. It's a perfect example if you put the wish out to the universe and it responds. I have to ask you, have you heard the voices yet? What do I mean by that? It's not about going mad. I refer back to, I think it's the Gospel of John, where it says about, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and God was the Word, and so on and so on. The Word was made flesh. But notice it doesn't say that once the Word was made flesh, that it was actually vocalized. It's also referenced about go and pray in secret, and you will be rewarded. So this little cat I'm offering as a proof of that. This is still an ongoing, unfolding story in ways that the conscious mind cannot predict. As I've said on the previous video, what I've put out to the universe is in the communication of feeling, nothing specific about the physical reality. But anyway, coming back to the voices, I was awoken yesterday morning. It was a group from the 1980s, not exactly a one-hit wonder, but more a one-album wonder, because they had two successful songs that became hit singles, one of which was called Come On Eileen. The group is called Dexy's Midnight Runners. I think it was about 1982, 1983. But that song, why did that come into my mind? Come on, Eileen, to Ray A. I can't even remember the words. But when you slow it down, it's the Our Father, who art in heaven, imagination, creation, working through the artist to express something. So I wonder how many of you are familiar with that song, how many of you have heard it, but how many of you have you really listened to what the words of the song are saying? So if we slow it down, we'll take a little pause rather than reeling it off in one go, as it were. So come on, Eileen. Well, something that is lean has had the fat trimmed away. Come on, it means switching something on. And then the chorus goes on the lines of tu ra, I-A. Seems to sort of allude to that angel on one shoulder and the demon on the other, Ra and El, and is El Ra, or vice versa. That's where discernment comes in, of course. The voice that you really need to learn the language of is feeling. I'm saying this from experience because I find myself in a position where instead of going with what the five senses show you externally as being true, so in a given moment, you might be facing, I'm running out of this, I don't have that, what happens if this doesn't happen, and so on and so on. It's false evidence appearing real. It's fear. It's doubt. After all, it's said we live in a sphere, a spiritual fear. So what is unfolding in this life of this being is every day is one that ends with amazement and gratitude at the wow factor. I would suggest it's not even about something good is coming, it's already happening. The key is to listen to what the body is communicating because it tells on the mind, and also to move past that fear of illusions. This reality is all just reflections after all. Interesting, it's described as the universe is electric. Well, everything electrical that I can think of, be it a cell phone, electric locomotive, a microwave, a television, anything and everything that is electric, all share one thing in common. And that is that they have a switch to switch something on or to switch something off. So, what about this reality? This reality is a place to learn and grow. It requires stepping out of the comfort zone. The answer is given to you in tarot cards. I don't mean you even have to have a tarot card reading here. Just look at the first tarot card of the major arcana. It's a nothing, it's a zero, it's the Fool. To the perspective of the majority of what I'm doing now is I've thrown caution to the wind. I've let go of fear. And I'm just letting things unfold. There are things that are presented that don't look quite so pleasant. It's no different from what you see in the sky. At the moment it's turned a little chilly because it's rather overcast. We won't go into the reasons for that. But it's not as sunny and as warm as I would like it, but I'm pretty sure that if not tomorrow, the day after or the day after that, there will be bright skies and sunshine. It is what it is. Learn to change what you can and learn to accept what you can't. Where else do we want to go with this? Yeah, it's just amazing how this is an ongoing story, so I'm only giving you a very broad picture of this, but it requires to be the Fool, be indifferent. From the perspective of many, it will be, that's a foolish thing to do. But to see something through to the end, to remember the future, to use a Neville Goddard term, no matter what the external presents to you, you hold true to the vision that you create of the future. Where would I like to be in a year's time, in 5 years' time? How would I feel if I had that now? It's not coming from the approach of law of attraction. By definition, that means you haven't got it. All it takes is to deny the external reality. And I would say, go with that internal voice. That is your intuition that is speaking to you. And I'm finding this to be true. I suppose I could say I am living proof. I don't have an income. I occasionally get donations. But generally, it's very sort of how am I going to survive? And yet I'm doing all right. I smoke, I eat and drink, and against all odds, I'm here. So I suppose I could offer myself as living proof. Go all in with the intuition. Learn the language. Learn to be the observer of thoughts as much as anything else. Because the conscious mind will try and wander off. But I feel I have reached a stage now where it is pretty much second nature, shall we say, where you don't even have to think of it any more than you have to consciously think about putting one leg in front of the other as if you're walking anywhere. It's to that level. Actually, I had somebody ask me the other day, am I meditating? Because I'm sitting there with my eyes closed. I said, no, I'm constructing a door, a traditional design door in my mind. So that's created. It will follow that it will come in the physical. Everything follows this same pattern. This reality is not the way you would perceive it to be from within the reality. So let me explain. Some of you will have experiences where somebody will go through what is called an untimely death. They step through the threshold where spirit separates from matter. But consider that might actually be from what you would call the good side. As Rudolf Steiner explains, when a being exits this reality early, not from natural decay with a long life, what is left here is the etheric energy. It is something we can draw on. I would go so far as to say that those that have exited this reality recently, at maybe quite young ages, maybe in their 30s or 40s, have been given a choice whilst in dreamland, as it were, when you're asleep, basically, where it's like, we'd like to take you out of this. You are a good soul, and you can still help this reality in an unseen way. Whether that's true or not, it's up to you how you feel about it. But is it not a far more positive way of looking at a situation rather than that mournful, I've lost a friend, or they were a good person, why did they have to die? It's unfair, and all this negative attachment to it. But if you see the thing for what it is, it's not going to negate that feeling of loss and feeling of grieving. But you require that, because without having that, how are you going to know the contrast? If everything was uphill, how would you know what downhill was, for example? Let's say the Earth is tilted, but the surface, we're talking about surface level here, whilst it is very much ups and downs, generally it is seen as flat, and maybe it's tilted. So how do we really know what is up and down? But what is also clear about this reality, it is a realm where you can experience and see contrasts to find that discernment, to take that middle path. So let me put this question to you. If there is a light bearer, a bringer of light, we can call it Lucifer or Satan, whatever name you or label you want to apply to it. Would that not also imply there is a light extinguisher? That is my mission here, to extinguish and take the light from this world. Oh, shock horror, what is he saying? Consider, Ken Wheeler explains this very well. You're not seeing light. What you are seeing is illumination in this reality. If everything is a reflection, and certainly there are many cases, and I've had many experiences where the five senses will betray, because what you might see in half shadows, the mind will form a picture of something that isn't actually there. You cannot rely on those five senses for absolute proof. the only one that you can rely on is the intuition, the gut or God feeling. It all comes from the place of the sun, the solar plexus. That is the power and the wisdom of God, shall we say. But it requires a fall. It requires to be a fool and go all in and see it through to the end, which is that rising, that Kundalini rising. But then, of course, it has to center again to the heart. Home is where the heart is. He art, our Father who art in heaven. So our Father is a he in this metaphor. And it's art. It's creation from the imagination. So to explain what I mean by taking the light from this world, if we look at this Lucifer character in the story, I would suggest that is actually the prodigal son. So I'm here to take the son home, as it were. Now I'm talking internally and metaphorically, but like everything in this reality, what starts in the imagination, what starts in the unseen, becomes manifest into this reality. You can see examples of that, say for example with concrete or cement. You add water to a powder and it's a liquid, but it becomes cemented into this reality. It becomes solidified. Just like we can do with our thoughts, our belief system, we can cement into a belief and we can get stuck there. We can build on a very false foundation. But equally, we can build on a true foundation, which is to find that rock bottom, which requires to play the part of the fool. The fool's journey is the hero's journey. If you see it in terms of the chakra system, if it starts from the place of the sun, it requires falling 2 places to the root, getting to the root of the thing, which is the rock bottom, the solid foundation on which upon you build again. It is referenced in the story where Jesus says, I can tear down the temple that took 46 years to build and rebuild it in 3. Ignore the devil in the detail, the years and days in this metaphor. What it is referring to is the physical body is made up of 2 pairs of 23 chromosomes, which gives you the 46. You're basically unlearning everything, and then you're rebuilding in 3, the mind, body and soul. Obviously the spirit is the true spirit, so it doesn't need to be in that equation. It's always there anyway. Now finally, after 18 minutes, I wish to talk about another topic, that of aliens. I've seen a few headlines on notifications of different channels. I understand there's a unidentified object with lights, I think in the United States. But I don't even want to discuss that. I want to discuss aliens. Now straight away, I need to ask you, as I've said the word aliens, have you got that image of that classic grey? If so, doesn't it show how programming and repeated seeing of a particular image or logo cements a picture of something in the mind? But I would suggest these ETs, these greys, these aliens, are not actually alien at all. I'm speculating, you could say, in one sense, but I can offer circumstantial evidence of this. If you compare an ultrasound of maybe a 4-month-old fetus, a 3D ultrasound, And the circumstantial evidence is the fact that if you try and find this on Google Images, you won't see the pictures that will make this apparent. So if you know someone who's pregnant, who has had an ultrasound, you may see it in those pictures. Consider the fetus, the ratio of the head size to the body. Does that not look like your classic extraterrestrial grey, which is in pretty much every sci-fi film, and much more? There is another that is also worth considering. There's a very sound reason why certain groups do not eat pork, for example. You've only got to look at what the system pushes. Go on, have a bacon butty for breakfast. But it's always mentioned how pigs are so intelligent and how close they are to human. I would suggest that what you are being shown as greys and pigs, and it's certainly something alluded to in sci-fi films, that they are the result of what happens when you interfere with nature and start running an anti-nature program that goes horribly wrong, those being the two results. Up to you whether you feel that's true or not. That's the key to everything. Ask yourself how you feel. Does that feel true to you? That's the language to learn, feeling. If the lights were to go out and you're in a room that's suddenly gone dark, do you not try and feel your way to the light switch? Say the bulb blows or something. I think you get the point there of this. There was more, but it's gone at the moment. But suffice to say that I've gone beyond that stage of where I feel like I'm in a cave, and I'm talking about the lower self here, that is looking up to the higher self, as it were, and saying, why aren't you panicking about this perceived situation? It's now playing the part of the fool and not a care in the world, and know that the universe has got my back. The knowing, the inner knowing in the feeling, you will find it confirmed. I can only say to you and reiterate what Neville Goddard says: test it for yourself. Go all in for what you wish you create in your mind of where you wish to see yourself in whatever time period, and you hold true to that vision regardless of what this illumination is presenting to your external five senses. I find this to be 100% true. So this is why I'm making this video. So learn to distinguish the voices that are speaking inside you, because effectively, if the creator is in each of us, the copy of the creator, the imitator, has followed the same pattern. So this is why you have those two voices in your head. One saying, go on, go and do that, take a risk. Something that's self-benefiting, self-serving, and at the expense of another. Or the other voice that is actually coming from the gut and through the heart. Which one are you going to listen to? Which one are you going to go with? Which one is your true inner guidance? Again, it's something reflected, you could say, on a map of the world, true north and magnetic north. They're slightly apart, but actually very close together. But the further you go on your journey, in that sense, going north, you'll find that they start moving further apart, the further you travel on that journey. Likewise, on this spiritual journey, remember, it does say in scriptures that it is a war of the spirit, not of the flesh. The physical world is just an outplay on the world stage, after all. But it gives you a wonderful, perfect opportunity. If the world is a stage, you can be a refined actor or actress. You can draw upon all and any mythological character, all archetypes. You can create your own recipe. You can add a little bit of be a Jesus Christ, be a little bit of Odin, be a little bit of Orpheus or whatever. There's so many to choose from. Whatever you feel, go with that every time. And just go all in, listen to your intuition. That is the best advice, and it is coming from a place of experience that I'm saying this. If this was my last moment and you were never to see me again, do you know what my last words would be as a physical being? It would be round of applause. I can't obviously clap when I'm holding the phone with my right hand, but I would be clapping and in going 360 degrees and saying, well done everybody. You have played your parts brilliantly. Because what actually happens is, everything is a reflection. We are individualized parts of the Creator. So it is a multi-universe. You are a you-inverse within this reality, this natural green screen, with an overlay, a veil as it were, which you can start to penetrate. You start to see that it is illumination rather than light. But of course, why wouldn't the earth look beautiful? It's not going to look awful. It's going to be luring. But most important of all is the accountability, the taking responsibility for self. Whether you agree with it or not, you, and I'm talking to every one of you that listens to this, all of you have chosen to be here because when, as Rudolf Steiner explains it, when you pass through that threshold, that portal of death, you have that resurrection, you have that revelation, you're shown what you've missed out on, and you'll want to come back again. And through that, and through the life experience you've had this time round, you're working with the higher forces, as it were, and you're bringing two souls together to create a physical body for you to come back into. So the responsibility, and I include myself in this, rests on our shoulders. We've chosen to do this. Everything that happens to us, whether it be good or bad, is down to our own making, because we are co-creators. The system, the external, will try and show you other things that will mislead you and take you away from that, so you look externally. And it's very good at trying to suck you back into social media and such like. But again, that's something that, with experience, you're able to catch yourself, and it's like, oh no, I'm not getting pulled into this. If you see this reality is a continuous presentation of an offering of scripts for you to take and play a role, play a part, but would it be the best part? Surely the best part would be to play a star role. And I would say it requires you to create a very individual star role for yourself. And prove to yourself, beyond any doubt, that this is all an illusion, but it is also an experience from which we can learn and grow. The alternative is to stop, become stagnant, and just curl up and die. And pretty futile and a waste of your true currency, which is time. It really does come down to what you create in the mind. What matters to you becomes matter. It becomes material. So I offer you a big fat nothing. Do I dare do that without somebody saying, oh look, he's doing one of those signs, he must be... See, that's a belief system. I do it in jest, because we need to inject a bit of humour into this you cannot be serious, and you mustn't take life seriously, of course. It's a beautiful experience. I'm just in this state of elation at the moment. The wonder, it's not saying everything is going golden and exactly how the conscious mind wants it, but it is going in a way that is showing so much to me. And it is just wow to be an observer of, and how exciting. These continuous experiences, where is it leading now? Isn't that a bit of fun to do it that way? Anyway, love to you all, unconditional love to you all. Until the next video, and do check out the video shorts. You'll see the new Charis, the little white cat with the black spots. Until the next video, unconditional love to you all.